Very good. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the October 12th, 2023 meeting of the Mashpee Sewer Commission. Could I ask everyone to rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could observe a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience today who has business before this commission that is not currently on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll roll into the approval of the minutes from September 28th, 2023.
Make a motion that they are accepted.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. All right, we'll get our least pleasant bit of business out of the way right now. The old business we have was review and discussion of the Sewer Commission meeting time. The reason for the meeting time was given as we could have more professionals during the workday coming in to address us during normative business hours, which is obviously advantageous. The argument against, which I had raised, was that the public is limited from attending the meeting because it's in the middle of the workday. Also, a fellow participant, a board member, cannot continue to stay on the commission because of the time during the workday. I was able to discuss a few different options, and unless anyone else, I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts. My own 2 cents was that we could go opposite the select board on evenings, and to address one of our board members' issues of not being able to drive at night, or at least not being comfortable doing so. I was going to propose a 4 o'clock meeting time. Another option is to go opposite the planning board, and that would leave this room both Monday and opposite the planning board is open for us. The third option is to leave it alone and keep it as it is.
What do you mean by opposite?
So when they meet bi-weekly, we can meet the week they don't meet. That would go for selectmen or for planning board. Thursday nights would be tough because the Conservation Commission is often large, long, and would have to split these rooms, and one of them wouldn't be televised.
When does the planning board meet?
Let me look. This isn't a text message to me. Thursday evenings, but I think Thursday is also Conservation Commission. So I'll get confirmation on that. But Monday nights opposite the select board we know works, and we could bump it up to 4 o'clock, and our member that cannot make it during the day would be able to make it. And again, there's nothing saying we have to change it at all. This is purely a matter for the commissioners to decide each for themselves and either vote on it or table it for discussion at the next meeting.
Okay, so you're saying that if we go opposite the planning board, we could meet at 4 and it would enable the other member to attend, or?
Yes, select board definitely, possibly the planning board. I just have to get confirmation because the notes I have down makes me think that the Conservation Commission operates opposite them, but I will double check.
Well, that 4 o'clock time would also let the people who are working for the town to come in during working hours. I know it's a very brief window, 4 to 4:30, but it would kind of be the best of both.
Fair point. Yes, Mr. Joe.
Available.
With regard to someone that is concerned about driving after dark, I would volunteer to pick them up and bring them.
That's really kind of you. I think she had specified 4 o'clock as a time that she was willing to make it in the meeting. And I think with your willingness to help her out on the darkest days, sounds ominous, would really make her life a bit more easier trying to attend. Thank you, Joe.
want to wait until she's available. She was ill today, so if we waited till she were available, we could have a vote then.
I think that's an excellent idea. We'll see if we can get both of our two missing members there for the next meeting and have a vote. In the meantime, it'll let me ground truth the option on Thursdays, as well as double check that 4 o'clock on Mondays opposite the select board would work.
Planning board meets on Wednesdays.
I'm sorry?
The planning board meets on Wednesdays, first and third.
Perfect, thank you. That's why that would work then. All right, motion to table this until next meeting?
So move.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Website revision review. Do we have any updates for, other than all the positive accolades I've been seeing on social media?
The only update is that we're tweaking it a bit more, and all of the archive information that's in there now has a summary of what's in the documents and the date that they were written and by whom they were written. Because we've had to deal with just articles, papers that were drawn from so many different places, and we didn't know when they were written and by whom. So that's now been put in place, and again, I've got to pat Karen Leslie on the back for helping us to put all of this together. So that's the next step, and there's a meeting tomorrow, tonight at 6:30, a joint board meeting between the Select Board and the Finance Committee. And so we were holding off on setting up the times for information sessions. So I'll be talking to both the Board of Health that offered their big screen and an information area, and the Mashpee TV. So once we know exactly what's going to be happening, we can start having our information sessions, and then we can send an email around to each of the commissioners who'd also like to be there to talk to residents who might want to come to our, in quote, office hours to learn how to use the website.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. You've really been an outstanding organizer in this. Bless you.
Thank you.
Normally, we would have our construction update from GHD, and they've had remarkable attendance. I can't blame them for missing one meeting.
I have a bit of information.
Oh, please.
We had some questions, again, for the website for a Sandy trip with GHD. She has also been amazingly gracious in giving us information, and she's working. So she's not taking the day off. She's working, and she's busy putting together more and more documents for us. So that's why she's not there. But Al and I did have a chance to go visit the website, and I was shocked to see buildings in place. It is extraordinary. So it's coming along and moving really fast.
It's good.
Has anyone else had a chance to see it? No, pretty amazing.
When they get above ground, it's a lot faster.
Yeah, they are above ground. One of
It's
the,
actually not any faster, it's just that we can see the progress.
We see
When
the
it's below
progress.
ground, you can't see anything for the first month.
yeah, and also they're now able to work inside a building. At least one of them, the other one, the roof is going to be going on, so they'll be prepared for winter in bad weather. So it's really quite extraordinary to see. And again, compliments to GHD for the work that they're doing. From what Frank, who's the project manager, was saying that the hookups are together, the pipes and the, to the plant have been hooked up now. And they've run the tests to see whether or not there are any concrete leaks, and so far those are all good. So we're learning how to build. So that document that we have, our 62-page document of rules and regulations that teach us how to build a plant? We know how to do it now.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Kim Comart. He's going to give us a presentation on the Falmouth Provisional Study of Urine Diversion.
My thought, in terms of in having Kim come to us, we've investigated a number of other options or issues that have been a problem with the clean water issues. So we had the Assistant Conservation Agent, Dan Kent, come and talk to us about fertilizer. And so this is another opportunity to hear information about wastewater. And this is from Falmouth. So thank you, Kim, for being here.
Great.
Thank you, Kim. If you
Thanks
could
yeah.
identify yourself for the
Sure.
record and then proceed.
My name is Kim Comart. I live in Falmouth, and I'm the founder of the Falmouth Pond Coalition. We're a coalition of 12 pond groups that are working together to address challenges for facing freshwater ponds. We're focused on freshwater ponds. As you may know, Falmouth is blessed with over 100 freshwater ponds. We have 28 great freshwater ponds, 10 acres or more. And over the years, we have seen that many of these ponds are becoming degraded. In Falmouth, most of the resources and attention among town officials and folks who have been concerned about water issues have been directed towards the bays, the estuaries, the saltwater ponds, and really in some ways to the neglect of the freshwater ponds. So we founded the Falmouth Pond Coalition as a way to put freshwater ponds on the radar and make sure that people who live on freshwater ponds are able to work together to develop strategies for addressing their ponds. And we're also working with town government to raise the sort of awareness with town government and get them involved in helping to solve the problems facing freshwater ponds. I live on a beautiful freshwater pond in Falmouth. It's called Deep Pond. It's a 27-acre pond. And 3 years ago, learned what cyanobacteria was. I didn't really know what it was before. That led me and some neighbors to form a pond association on our pond. And to make a long story short, about a year ago, I decided to form the Falmouth Pond Coalition because there was so much interest in town in different pond groups working together. One of the other things I learned, to my surprise, was that the nutrient overload that is causing the degradation of our ponds is primarily from our septics. And even Title V septics don't treat nitrogen and phosphorus and are the primary contributor by far to the nutrients entering our ponds. 75% of all of the nitrogen and phosphorus entering our ponds are coming from septic systems, including mine. We've determined that the experts tell us that in addition to that, about 10% of the problem is fertilizer, about 10% is road runoff, and about 5% is waterfowl and house pets. So we are really focused on trying to address the waste that is going from our septic systems into our ponds. In Falmouth, right now, 11% of all the developed properties are on sewer, and the town has plans to sewer another 17%, which will bring the town up to 28% of the entire town being on sewer. That leaves, right now, 90% of us, 89% of us, relying on septic systems, and eventually 72% of us relying on septics. And while we know that very close to here on Joint Base Cape Cod, the Mass Alternative Septic System Test Center is developing innovative alternative or enhanced septic systems. They're not proving to be extremely effective. They're getting better. They're also extremely expensive, anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 to install, depending on your particular situation. So we have been talking for the past couple of years about pursuing the option of urine diversion. Urine diversion is a concept that is not new in some places in this world. In Europe, in Japan, in Australia, urine diversion is becoming quite commonplace, actually. And there are places in the United States where it's being done. We have learned a lot about urine diversion, and through the efforts of some of us, different advocacy groups in Falmouth, we were able to get our, I guess, sort of equivalent to your group. It's the Water Quality Management Committee in Falmouth, asked the Mass Alternative Septic System Test Center to put together a pilot project to test the sort of efficacy and potential impact of urine diversion on reducing nutrients that are going into our bays, estuaries, saltwater ponds, freshwater ponds, all of our waters. And MassTech responded in August with a proposal to do a 3-year study where 50 participants would be installing urine diversion appliances in their homes. These would be approved by the State Plumbing Board. And over the course of those 3 years, people would be collecting urine through these urine diversion devices, and MassTech would be retrieving the urine, testing the urine on a quarterly basis. This is described in the document that I think you have in your packet. So we're excited about this. We think that urine diversion has the potential to dramatically reduce the amount of urine going into our waters for a fraction of the cost of other technologies. We are hoping that septic system technology continues to improve and continues to come down in price. For us on freshwater ponds, we will never be on sewer. We'll never be on sewer, and the town acknowledges that because of the lack of density, the geography, the cost, et cetera. So we're relying on these other technologies. And so we're excited about urine diversion and see it as a really good option for us. And I'll just tell you, we've got a mini pilot going in Falmouth where some of us are doing urine diversion now. And I think my wife and I are typical. We have collected 55 gallons of urine in a drum sitting on our property in 6 weeks. 55 gallons of urine in 6 weeks. And when I look at that barrel, I think to myself, it is so good that this is not going into my septic system and leaching through my leach field down into the groundwater and into my pond. So that's what we're doing. We are, I've actually spoken to Susan Dangle here about this project numerous times, and we are very interested in the idea of Mashpee, Bourne, and Sandwich joining us in this pilot project. We're very interested in making this an Upper Cape regional project. It would have numerous benefits. One is it would allow us to more easily identify the 50 people who are going to do this. It would give us a greater chance of securing county funding to help support the project, the financial cost of the project. And of course, it would raise the visibility of urine diversion as a potential option in these other towns that would be participating. So we're excited about it. MassTech feels strongly, the testing center feels strongly about this. Tonight, the League of Women Voters is hosting a forum which will have an overflow crowd at the library about septics and urine diversion. The executive director and the project manager at MassTech are the keynote speakers there. So urine diversion is a big issue in Falmouth. It is on the agenda of every one of our wastewater quality management committee meetings, including last night's. And it's all over the Falmouth Enterprise. So it's getting a lot of attention. And again, it works. It's incredibly cost effective compared to other technologies, and it works immediately. It doesn't take years for it to work. So yeah, I'll stop there and love to hear any questions or.
How are you going to get rid of the urine that you've diverted?
The urine that's diverted? So for the pilot project, there's two options. One is MassTech, as you may know, I don't know if you've spent time over at the test center, they use a lot of urine in their testing. So they're planning to pick up and retrieve the urine and pump out the tanks on our properties and bring it over to the test center. Anything that they don't use at the test center will go to the Falmouth wastewater treatment plant. So that's the current plan. If this ended up being scaled up, then it would end up being reused as fertilizer. Urine is an incredibly valuable, fertilizer. It's got very high, nitrogen, phosphorus content, and it's great fertilizer. But that's a whole project in itself.
Will tonight's forum with the League of Women Voters be televised so that we may be able to?
I think it's being televised. Someone just sent me a note asking that. I don't know. I hope it is. I'll tell you that the Falmouth Pond Coalition is having a forum next Tuesday where urine diversion will be a major focus of our event, and that is going to be recorded by Falmouth Community Television.
What time is that event?
That event is from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House. If you are interested in attending, you should let me know, because we're full. But if you were interested in coming, I would make room for you.
I have a question for you, Kim. Did Falmouth have to change their bylaws? Was there a bylaw change in order for collecting or distributing the urine around?
No, but the Board of Health has agreed that it's fine for people to do what we're doing now, which is using these collection devices and have a barrel on our property and empty it into the barrel. The Board of Health is fine about that. The Board of Health has also approved installing tanks, collection tanks in your basement or underground, buried underground on your property that would be hooked up to urine diversion appliances in your house. I recently purchased a urine diversion flush toilet. It's a dual chamber toilet. Your feces goes into the back chamber, your urine goes into the front chamber. You sit down on them, men and women sit down on them. And when we get permission to install this in our house, we're gonna just have a tank in our basement. There's a tube that goes down from the front of the appliance into a tank, and then it's sort of the opposite of someone coming to deliver oil to your house. A truck's going to come to our house, and there will be a pipe going out the house, and they will pump out the tank that's in our basement into their truck. And they'll either take it to the wastewater treatment plant, which is much better than having it go into our septic system. Our wastewater treatment plant does tertiary treatment. So there's still some nitrogen, phosphorus going into the discharge, but much better than going into our groundwater. We're excited about it. Any other questions? Yeah.
Other than a dry process, can you continue to use your existing Title V system to take care of your solids?
Yes. Oh, yes. You need to have. So anyone who's either on sewer or septic who decides to use the device that I just described, this Wosman Echo Flush toilet, you need to have, your feces is going to go into your septic tank or the sewer, where it goes now. So the only change here is that your urine is going to be going into a tank. So and the other thing about in our situation is if we install when we install this tank in our basement, there will be an alarm on it. The alarm will notify our septic hauler and us when it's 2/3 full to come empty it. And if all of that failed, there will be an overflow pipe that goes into our septic tank from the urine tank. So that's sort of a backup device.
Fail-safe device.
Yes.
What is the cost of the devices, the diversion devices?
Yeah, so the appliance that I bought, I just picked it up 2 days ago, is about $780. There's a bit of a catch-22 here in the United States. Because urine diversion is not something that a lot of people do, there are no manufacturers of these devices in the United States, which means you need to get them from Europe. And because there are, and the flip side is, because there are not a lot of appliances available here, made in the United States, it's a little harder to build a market. So it's this sort of chicken and egg thing. So the reason that I paid $780 is about a quarter of that was shipping costs. I got it from Sweden. So that, that toilet probably should have cost more like $600. The tank is going to be about $800. The installation is going to be about $2,000. So it will be about probably maybe $3,500 for labor, parts, everything to install this toilet in our house. And then, then there are other kinds of devices. I have another device. It's an incinerating toilet. This is a really nice toilet. It's called this. If you ever want to look, just go to the Cinderella incinerating toilet. Look up Cinderella incinerating toilets. This is a plug and play, basically. You plug it into the wall, you move your toilet out, you plug this in. People use them in RVs. It's very common in RVs and in cabins. And this is a toilet, nice looking toilet, and you just have vent pipes out your wall. You have to vent it, but you plug it in, and it just incinerates all the waste. It incinerates it. It's almost like a kiln down there. So I have one of those, and I'm using these for show and tell right now, for like this forum we have on next Tuesday. We're gonna have a bunch of different urine diversion appliances there for people to look at. And the last thing is about this pilot project. If anyone is interested in learning more about this, I just want to put up on the screen the contact information. So anyone who wants to. I am not good with the trackpad here. Okay, so if anyone wants to learn more about the pilot project,
Susan, will you capture that information so we can have it in our file and on our website?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
you were going to mention the Tuesday lunch.
Oh, yes. Last thing is, on Tuesday, we have the sort of experts in urine diversion. They're coming to our conference. They're speaking at our conference. And they have made time to meet with Susan and some other folks from Mashpee and some folks from Sandwich who are going to be joining this luncheon at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Between 12 and 12:30 it'll start, depending on when they get here. And that's going to be at the Mashpee Public Library. And anyone who's interested should contact Susan. You could also contact me, and I can make sure that you get the information. That'll be so. The folks from Rich Earth, the Rich Earth Institute, these are people who, and they're mentioned in this document that you have. They have a lot of experience doing urine diversion, and they have farmers, a large number of farmers up in Vermont who are using this urine as fertilizer. They're paying 40 cents a gallon to purchase it because it is great fertilizer. It's not chemical fertilizer. I think, as we all know, the price of chemical fertilizer has dramatically increased over the last few years, exacerbated by the crisis in Ukraine, where a lot of fertilizer comes from, a lot of the elements of fertilizer. So the folks at Rich Earth are sort of the experts about all this, and we're really glad they're coming to our conference, and glad they've taken the time to meet, with Sue and folks from Sandwich as well. Again, last thing I'll tell you is that I had a very good conversation with our representative to the Barnstable County Assembly, Dan Gesson, and he is very excited about the idea of a pilot project that would be for the Upper Cape, for Bourne, Mashpee, Sandwich, Falmouth, maybe Barnstable, and would pursue funding to help underwrite the costs. If the representatives from the other towns worked with him to pursue that funding, it would increase the likelihood of securing some support. So that's it for now. we're excited about it, and we're looking forward to seeing whether we can generate a lot of interest in urine diversion in Falmouth and make a real dent in, address the TMDLs, total maximum daily loads. That's the goal for the estuaries, and for our ponds, it's saving our ponds. I had the experience of going to a Shumat pond 10 days ago, and looking at a Shumat pond was pretty frightening to see that it's been closed since September 7th. And it was it's bright green. The whole thing's bright green. Terrible cyanobacteria problems. So that's something we want to avoid. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm going to close that.
Chair,
Yes.
excuse me, may I give you 2 more dates?
Yeah, come on up, say your name, and
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Susan Dangle, Katuitt Road.
The chair recognizes Susan Daniel of Katuitt Road.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up. Thank you, Kim, for that information. I think that Catherine and Meredith attended one of the tours at the Green Center in Falmouth. Also, they've been doing urine diversion and composting toileting for as long as they've lived there. And they have a great tour and lots of great information. So they are offering tours on Saturday, this Saturday, the 14th, as well as the 21st, with room to get there. I would say if you want to go, just let me know, and I'll connect you, rather than trying to give you all of this information. And I also got some very frightening photos. I'll try after we close to show you the pictures of a Shumat pond today. It would make you cry. It's really, really amazingly sad, and it's October. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dangle. Discussion from our commissioners. All right, let's roll on to the next item is Board of Health sponsored flu clinics.
It's when the Board of Health agent, Zachary Seabury, had stopped by to give us some information, he had also asked that we just make an announcement for the 2 flu clinics that are being offered through the Board of Health for Mashpee.
Absolutely. So I'm
Where?
seeing,
They're at Christ the King Church. There's a flyer that is also attached that you should have in your packet.
and those dates are November 2nd.
November 2nd and November 9th, and they're both at Christ the King Church at the Parish Hall on 5 Job's Fishing Road.
That's 3 to 6 p.m. on November 2nd and 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on November 9th.
And it's free. They're free. Free.
How do you do your pre-registration now that it's required?
Bet you the flyer says something about it.
My chart.
Yes, the one way of doing, there are several ways. One is to schedule an appointment through my chart online, and the other would be to go online or to phone them.
And then you can call them at 508-862-7000. Very good. Before we, unless there's any other discussion of any other topics, I'd like to remind everyone that town meeting is Monday. And as many people that can talk to as many other people about the importance of the vote to acquire funding to design the next step and is vital to our whole efforts. And I'd love to see as many of you as possible there. Ms. Sprout.
Yes, I know GHD isn't here. It could probably be more of a question for Robert B. Auer, but I've noticed that on Quiniquisette, there was a change in the routine. Usually, the utility companies came down and put flags in the yard, and they marked with paint where the utilities were, and then Robert B. Auer would come and put down a green stake. Well, that process was reversed on Quiniquisette Avenue. The green stakes were put down before the utilities came out and marked where those utilities are, and I wanted to know why the reversal. The other problem is that they did put down green stakes to a certain point, and then they continued on by putting white paint in the yard or on the street. So when it comes time to consider whether you want to move the green stake, there is no stake. And now if you put a stake in, you have to call Robert B. Auer. When they after the utility companies come and mark the utilities, you can't move white paint. Just saying, okay? So,
You make an excellent point, seeing as how I have some white paint in front of my house as well.
exactly.
So you're looking for answers to your questions?
Yes, I'm looking for answers to the
Where to go.
questions. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've spent so much time educating on this green stake issue.
Exactly. Yeah, then they're not there.
All right, other questions, comments from our commissioners? Is there anyone in the audience who has any business before the Sewer Commission that's not on the agenda? Yes, sir, please approach the microphone, say your name and address, and speak your piece.
I can get there before November. I'm at Norman Hall at 27 Leatherleaf Lane, and we just purchased in May. And I have a question on the, and you may have already covered it, on the sewer and process and what phase Leatherleaf Lane is on, and when that might be.
Off the top of our heads, unless someone else has this committed to memory harder than myself,
But you'll have a good 2 years of notice.
2 years?
Yeah, from the time that it's scheduled to everything being done.
Okay.
It's nothing that's going to come down over your ears in the next year.
Okay.
Guaranteed that.
I do have a question. Leatherleaf Lane is, where is it located in town? Not that I have a general idea, but I'd like
Off
to be
of
more
Old
specific.
Barnstable Road.
That's
Just
what I thought.
if you're coming from here, coming down Old Barnstable Road, the high school and things are on your left. Leatherleaf Lane's the next left.
Right, okay. So right
South
now.
of 151.
Yeah. I don't think we have a phase that covers that area at all at this point.
Well, it's in the phases in the master
Yeah.
plan. but
Yeah.
It's out a good 18 months to 3 years, somewhere in that window.
Okay.
Nothing to be.
Some of the neighbors had talked and said we should get together because they wanted to have one contractor for the homeowners to do,
that is the
Hopefully-
best idea.
Good
to
idea.
get a better deal, per
We've
se.
been advising that right along. You
Yeah.
just, to give you any idea of the glacial speed of this process, I think we ascertained last meeting that this commission was formed when I was 8 years old. I'm 44.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
But may I also add, an important thing is that we need to keep moving forward with the whole process. So it's going to be critically important that people go to town meeting and vote for the funding for the design process for the next phase of the sewer system. And then as we continue to move forward, this will be the process. Design, approval by the town, building
Get the
out,
money.
get the money for the design, get the money for the construction, and to keep moving forward so the pieces begin to come together one by one by one. And the more we're united with that, and the more we can plan out further and further ahead, we'd be able to have more specific answers to your questions.
Okay. And town meeting is Monday night?
Monday
Yes.
night at
Yes.
7
At the high school.
at the high school.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
I do have a question, because at the last meeting, we went over the recommendations, and the Finance Committee has not recommended the funding for the next for planning the next section. So are we planning on having somebody come up and speak to why we think that this funding is a good idea?
I had planned on it.
Okay.
But one of the other things that's also important is that tonight at 6:30, there's a joint meeting between the Finance Committee and the Select Board to find out whether or not they're exploring alternative funding.
Okay.
So that's why people have been somewhat quiet about it, because we don't know what the result of that meeting is going to be. So we may or may not have to speak at the meeting on Monday, but we'll see what happens this evening.
So that's tonight at 6:30?
Tonight at 6:30 here.
Wonderful.
in
Thank
this
you.
room.
It's televised, right?
Yes.
Other questions, comments from our commissioners? And the audience? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second?
Don't everyone jump at once. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.